Here's the thing. We have an extra 2. So we have a 2 by 2 by 2. So what that's going to look like is this. You're going to have that as your 56. This as your 28. And I mean, the rest is history, right? The rest is history. Yeah, man, this we don't need for we don't need to do this. You should know. But sure, we can always go ahead and do that. Let me minus 6 from here and 6 from here. So I'll end up with 50 minus a 22. Right? And then what we'll do is we'll put an 8 right here. And we'll add a 1 to that. So now we're going to say 5 minus 3. And then now let's put some x's here. And that's it. Right? So we're going to be replacing 28x with 56 minus 28. Right? So yeah. Alright, so alright, yeah, we, you know what? Why not? So let's do it in real time, right? The HCF of these two is clearly 7, right? I would wager that. Divide this by 7, we will have 7, right? So we're going to have 7 minus 4x. Right? However, we divide this plus 56x by this 7. So we'll end up with a plus 8x out here. And then of course, multiply this by this, you get that 56. Multiply this by this, you get that 32. X times x is x squared. So we can copy this over there. Alright, so what now? Blue on the right, red on the left. Blue on the right, red on the left. Alright, so yeah, if you notice, it's taking us some time, right? Okay, alright, this one now got too difficult. We have 18 and we have 49. You can blindfold yourself and figure out what those prime numbers are going to be. Yeah? See what I mean? Alright, so what we're going to do? Well, this one, tell me this one though looks similar to the one before. You have a 3 and 7 and a 3 and 7. Therefore, it's safe to say that if you have a 3 and a 7 and a 3 and a 7, all you need to do is put a 2 in front of one of them, and now you have 21 and 21 plus 21. So you're going to have a 42 and a 21. Here's your 42 and what we didn't circle, and there's your 21. Alright, so now this one is easy. And there's a little strategy going into this. So that this is a lot easier to factorize. You notice I put the minus 21 in front here as opposed to putting it over there. Yeah, it's a lot easier when you do it that way. So anyhow, HCF of 18 and 21, that's going to be 3, right? Definitely going to be 3. Now here's a fun fact. You see everything we didn't circle, right? The 2 times 3 will go here. So 2 times 3, 6 will go here, and that over here will be on this side. So you'll have the 6 on this side and the 7 on that side. Yeah? So first we'll start with this, and then of course 18 over 3 is 6 and 21 over 3 is 7. So okay, so what do we do again? This 42x divided by this, or this minus 49x squared divided by this. Either way, when you go over here, it becomes what? 2 by 3 by 7 over 2 by 3 leaves you with 7. So plus 42x over 6 will be plus 7x. Alright, no. So 7 times this 6, the 7x times this 6, give it that 42x right there. This plus 7x times minus 7x gives you that up there. So we'll just copy and paste that over here. Blue on the right with red on the left. Yeah. So we're going to go over to number 5. That's what we're going to do now. Now we should know the drill by now. However, this one is going to be different. Once you have a minus plus or a plus plus, it means that we will not be doing any subtracting. Right? The two terms, we're going to add them together. So it means if we get something like, let's say, I'm just speculating, right? I don't know why those numbers came up to me. I don't know. Right? Yeah, anyway. If there are two negatives, you will add them like this. Or if there are two positives, yeah? Right? So in this case, we'll be using this. Because we have a minus 10 plus, not a plus plus. If we had a plus plus, we would be using that over here. But because it's minus 10 plus, we'll be using this. Right? So just remember that. Alright now. What are we going to do with this? Sometimes you can combine these two and it will work. But in this case, you're going to end up with 35 and 36. When you add them, you're going to end up with 71. So that not going to work. So if that don't work, you could try somewhere in the middle. But if you tried, what, 2 by 3 by 7, 42 times 2 is 84. 84 and 15, yeah, that's, yeah, 84 minus 15 is too, yeah, that's kind of too much of a discrepancy right there, right? So the 15 not going to work, but what if we expand it? What if we move from 3 by 5 to this? What if we did this? Alright, so now we'll have a 9 by 5, which is a 45. And what's left is 4 by 7, which is 28. So now we have to add them and see if we end up with this up here. Right? So 8 plus 5 is going to be 13. 5 plus 2. Yes, indeed. Yeah? Let's not forget. Let us treat this like a toxic relationship. Do not forget about your ex. Alright. So that take care of that, right? So in this case, oh, let me not hold on, there's something else we don't want to forget. Okay? Let's not forget that, okay? Yeah. Right? We're dealing with integers. Alright, so we're gonna get rid of this and just focus on the meat of the matter. Alright, so it's fine. We can work this out. So let's do as we did before. So the HCF of 28 and 63 is going to be 7, so we're going to put that 7 right here. There is a slight difference right here. Notice that this has an extra x and this have an extra x. So what's common to both of them is an x. Mind you, we could have done this in reverse, and we still would have gotten an x on the outside here, right? We could have done that. Really could have. But anyway, let's just deal with it as we're seeing it right now, right? So if we divide this by this, we'll have a 9x here. And if we divide this by that, we'll have a minus 4 there. Right? Alright, here's a fun fact. What if we made this mistake? What if we did this? What if we took off the 7 and we still did the trick that we normally do? Divide this by that and put in 9x. Divide this by that and put in minus 4. You know what would happen? We'd say, wait, if I multiply 7 by 9x, I only get 63x. So what is missing? What do I need in order to get x squared? I need x times x. So I need an x beside this. Right? So even if we made that mistake, we can always correct it and just make that adjustment right there. Yeah? So in other words, it's never too late. Right? Never too late. Now, we can do the same trick that we normally do right here. Minus 45x over a positive 9x. We're going to get a minus 5x. And we're going to put that right here. Let me know if that makes any amount of sense. Because if we multiply this by this, we end up with that. But wait. Look what I'm going to do. Look at what I did. Hold on. Look at the mistake we make. Remember what I'm dividing. I'm dividing 45x by 9x. X divided by x is going to be what? 1. So 5 times 1, in other words, yeah, this needs to disappear. You see that? Yeah, sometimes we get so accustomed to what we were doing before. Sometimes we operate on autopilot, right? So for example, let me just do it so that we understand what really just took place, right? This is what we actually did in order to get that right there, right? So if we divide this by that, and of course, you know, you have a minus 5 times 9, right? The 9's cancel, leave you with the minus 5, don't it? Yeah. So, yeah. Right? We can make the adjustment. So now that we've made that correction, let's go again. Let's multiply minus 5 by 9x. That will give you that 45x. Minus 5 times minus 4 will give you a plus 20. So, we copy and paste what is in blue over there. Alright? Now let's put down the 2 brackets and see how that works now. And as I always say, blue on the right and red on the left. Whew, yeah. So yeah, we're about what, 28 minutes into this madness that we've started. So we're about halfway there, right? And the only reason why it took it so long is because I am painstakingly going through the steps. Right? I could speed it up a little bit more, but you know, just so that we're staying consistent with the presentation, you know. Yeah. So let's go to number 6. Alright, so this is a little bit similar to what we've done before. You know, the minus, right? That means that there's going to be a subtraction. So if you have a plus then minus or a minus then minus, there will be a subtraction. But if it's the other way around, where it's minus plus or plus plus, then that will be an addition, right? So we need to be mindful of that. And we have 28, we have 10. So that's 2 by 5 and 2 by 2 by 7. So let's put that together. Believe it or not, the answer is literally staring us in the face. And sometimes you wonder how you know. Well, one of your best bets is to try and group all of one number together and see what happens. So, just like that, what we have 8 on this side. Multiply this by that, that's what, 35. What can we do with 8 and the 35? Well, this is negative. The larger number needs to be negative. So, I wonder what would happen if we did it somewhat like this. mean, yeah, that's